Hey, how'd that happen? There you go. All right. Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining us on another fun night here at Paranormal Chat on LLF Radio. So much shorter that way.
Just trying to pull up. Yeah. How's it
You
going?
look lost
Thanks
there.
for tuning in,
Okay.
everyone. No, I was like usually the comments come up on there, and I'm not seeing it. It's kind of different this week for some reason.
It's there. Just
So
haven't had anybody make any comments yet. So,
yeah, it could be that too. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, they're just it's showing there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Somebody will pop on there. So
maybe it just looks different to me this week. I don't know. It's there we go. See, it's working.
It's working. Michelle made a comment. Literally made a comment.
Well, I think usually at the top though it has like the settings, like it's private chat and then comments, and where we can call each other names like in the private chat and nobody sees the comments, I guess.
Yeah, supposedly.
So how's Robin?
It's a long weekend and coming into another one. So hello, Marcus. So thanks for joining us again. So it's been kind of a busy one, and looking forward to talking to Scott tonight a little bit. Haven't talked to Scott for a little while anyway. So
yeah, same here. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, I was with him about a year or so ago on set down there, but that's the last time. So
it's been a little while. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for thank you, Marcus. Appreciate that. Yeah. And then not only did you make it over to Rhodes Hotel, but you got some pie to the face.
If you didn't see what was going on at Rhodes, let's just kind of show you here real quick.
Well, looks like it's been a fun ride. I mean, we've had some fun, and we appreciate you doing what you've done and helping the charity, with Rhodes Hotel and all.
I'm glad we were able to do it. I mean, it means a lot to me to be able to help the charity out like that, and with this place here, so it's there now to help charity years after I'm even gone.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so I mean, now all the funds coming in is going to help the charity and stuff out, and we can't thank you enough for helping us out.
I'm glad we can do it.
So, Rhodes Hotel's finally paid off.
Wow.
Wait, we're paid off?
Yeah, Mike just gave me the last check. Everything's all paid off. Lost Thumbs owns this Rhodes Hotel completely now.
All right, well, don't forget to leave your keys.
Wow. You can see this is going. I guess I'm just out of here.
Hey, wait! Don't forget your pie!
Ow! Really?
Yep, I think somebody enjoyed that way too much.
Yeah, when I was looking back at it, it made it even funnier when you went to the passenger side of the door and it was locked, and then you just walked around,
blinded by the pie.
Yeah, yeah, she had too much fun.
Yeah, Michelle, she wanted to do that a couple more takes just because she didn't think that was good enough the first time. So, no.
Yeah.
And, and then your mom tried to kill me because it was that stuff was frozen.
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, she's like, I think the stuff's frozen. We'll leave it sitting out for a little bit, and I don't think it completely thawed, did it?
Oh, I could vouch for that. No, it didn't completely thaw. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I figured you could probably give me the insights on as to how bad that one was.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't thawed. So, but
yep. So, Kids Day this weekend, Saturday.
That's right. Yeah, Saturday. Yep. And it's I think it's a tough year for some ticket sales and things like that because it's not sold out and it normally always is. So it'll be a little bit smaller group than normal, but we'll still have a good time. It's going to happen. There's still tickets available. You can go to ashmorestates.net and just go to the event page there and jump on there through Eventbrite, and you get your tickets. It's $25 for one adult, one child, and for an additional adult or child, it's another $15. So it's and all that 100% of that goes to the Lost Limbs Foundation. So there's no fees that's going to stay at the Ashmore Estates, or we don't do anything like that. It's just 100% of that we just donate off. So,
Yep.
so you haven't got tickets yet, do so. Just run in there and get that. Jump on the website, and if you can't promise find it on the website, just give me a call, drop me an email, and we'll
Yeah.
make sure you get tickets for it.
And you
And
put the link in the Facebook post, didn't you? Because like I know I shared it to the charity. I shared it on my page and all
yeah,
that
it's all
stuff.
over the
So
place. Yep,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
out there everywhere, and we'll get somebody to pop in there pretty soon. And if Ashley or somebody's in there, and they'll pop it in there and throw it in the chat as well. So,
yeah,
but yeah, it'll be a good time. The kids always enjoy it, and it's from 1 to 5. And Ashley puts that on, helps it, does that. She's been doing it for years. She'll get a little help from some other people. I'm not
yeah.
sure exactly who's going to be up there. I think Abby's going to be there to help her, and then probably 1 or 2 people from the paranormal free agents will be up there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, they'll have fun with it, and the kids always have a good time. And it's all
Yeah.
during the day, so nothing to worry about.
Yep. And I'm planning on popping in during the day over there and then coming back
That's right.
Saturday
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, I think your mom or your sister or both, your dad. I don't know who's all coming over, but
Yeah,
I
I'm not
think they're
sure.
possibly coming over as well. So, yes, it'll be fun, and it'll be a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
time.
be a good time. Yeah.
And, so
Yeah,
looking
fun,
forward to that.
fun.
I'll be out building the house, and while they're doing that, but yeah, so
Yeah.
it'll be but they'll have a good time. I'll just go out there and start building.
Yeah. You'll be out building all day and while everybody else is having fun and in the
Yeah,
building.
yeah, story of my life.
Yeah.
But now if you're looking at booking Rhodes Hotel, it's a good time to do it. Call up
Yeah.
the Donut Demon, aka Crystal, and you can book an event at Rhodes Hotel, book a date at Rhodes Hotel, and come out there and enjoy that. Have a good time with it.
Yeah,
So
it's filling up. Saturdays are booking pretty quick. So anyway, that's interested, you should get that booked real quick. We have the public investigations. May is actually this weekend, but it's sold out. But there's the next one in June. There's tickets available. I don't know if we've sold any or not yet for June, but I know there are tickles. I know that there's
Tickle tickets?
tickle tickets. I know there's tickle tickets. I know that there's tickets available. Yeah, so can you stay overnight? The public investigations are actually from 6 p.m. until 2 a.m. So they end at 2. Yep. But yep, those are coming up. So like Robin posted
but you
on
can
here.
you can book a private Marcus though and stay there.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Yep. And so at Rhodes Hotel, you can book the private and stay there. The public, I think you're going to set some publics up at some point in time. You said anyway to do like an overnight type thing too. But
Yeah, we did a few last year. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but yeah, you can book it overnight at Rhodes, and so that's not a problem. And he also asked if we tame the ghost. We've never had an issue out there. We've had a couple times where people have been, including myself, felt like they needed to leave the building or something, but nothing. I look at that they were trying to basically prevent something from happening. And with the kids, we've never had an issue out there. I imagine the spirits in the building probably go hide with all the kids in the building running around and having a good time with things. So we never had a problem with that at all. They've had some experiences out there, and when they've had that happen. So it's been a good time.
Yep.
Last little plug here before we bring Scott in. Lost Limbs Foundation. You can. Mike's got the website. He started kind of rebranding the website a little bit, putting it up a little bit differently and all. So check it out, lostlimbsfoundation.org, and you can give him a call at the Lost Limbs Foundation number there, or email him. And don't forget to subscribe to LLF Radio, and you can watch the episodes there. I always put them up. Try to put up the same night. Sometimes they go up the next day. And but yeah, they're all on our YouTube channel. So feel free to stop in and check that out.
Yes, go subscribe to the page, please.
So,
I think we're up to about 30-some people now, right?
Hey, that's more than we had a month ago. So
it is, yeah. I mean, hey, one person joins, then it's one more than we had.
Well, let's see if we can find. Let me get rid of something here.
See if Scott's lurking around.
Yeah, let me bring Scott in here. Here he is. Hey, Scott.
Wrong one.
I'm hoping I can hear you guys because I can't hear you guys.
You
You
can't
can't?
hear us.
Hope you can hear me.
Yeah,
I
we
can hear you, Scott.
Yeah.
I heard you before.
Huh.
I see
Oops.
you. Hello. I even wrote
We'll do-
this in it.
We do sign language.
Well, heck.
So
you
you
can't-
Let me hang
can't
up.
hear.
Try it again.
So yeah, it
Back
might be
in?
a
I'm gonna try that
try
real
that
quick.
again.
Hold on.
All right.
Alright.
And there's
You know-
Scott.
You know, the funny thing is, like, he sent a message today and he's just like, hey, do you want to think we should do a test run real quick, like sometime? And I was just like, yeah, I'll mention something to Robin. And I told him, I was like, I told him what we use, StreamYard. And he's just like, oh, and he's like, I don't think I've ever had any problems with that. So it should be okay. And then here we jump on and there's problems. Play the Jeopardy.
I don't think Scott's really that into the technical side of things anyway. So I'll say that now. He's not out here, so I can say that. Get away
Can't
with it.
defend
So,
himself. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, he won't know it until he goes back and listens to this again.
Yeah,
He'll
yeah.
do that. So
Yeah, so I mean, you're good. If he doesn't go back and replay
Yeah,
it, then you're good. He
exactly.
won't never know you said it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he won't read the comments probably in the chat, so you guys can rat me out over there all you want. He probably won't see it anyway. So that won't make any difference.
Yep, he should be right back though. So
Scott
we can
has
cue.
left the building.
Yeah,
There,
we
I
can
think he's trying. He's coming.
He's
Let's see if
back.
here.
stop
Okay.
talking about him.
Any
Yes,
better?
now.
Can't hear you guys.
Really? Can't hear
I
us now?
cannot hear you guys.
That's odd.
Huh.
Can
Heard you
hear
guys
us
talking.
early?
I saw the terrible acting by Crystal that came through with the audio. Can't hear you guys.
We can
Wow.
write down our questions
That's
and be like,
horrible. Can't do it.
Have you got
I
your?
don't know what's
You
going
got.
on.
If your.
Hello?
Maybe, well,
you might have to write it down and like.
yeah, because, yeah, he can't hear me, so I can't say anything.
Yeah, I mean,
let's see.
can't hear you guys.
Let me try.
We can hear you. Yeah.
Send him a message. We'll see if he can read that.
Yeah. I wonder. That's odd because we were talking before the show.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we were talking to him
And then
beforehand.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden now it's just gone.
I almost wonder if he's got his headphones, I think, plugged in. I wonder if he just has it set up where he's not getting the reception off the headphones. That's why I sent him a note to unplug your headphones to see what happens. So we'll see what these.
I don't remember if he had them plugged in when we were talking or not.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when he comes back. He also has his phone turned the other direction now too.
Yeah.
Well, while we're waiting for Scott to figure out his technical problem, how did I find Ashmore? That's kind of an interesting, weird story. I had a guy that was actually looking for and Scott left us again, so he'll probably be back. I had a guy that was actually looking for haunted house props because we were closing our haunted house and we were selling all the props. And he contacted me about wanting to come out and look at some props that I had for sale. So he showed up and we went through and looked at all the props and he picked out probably $8,000 to $10,000 worth of props that we were selling. And when we were done, I were talking to him and I said something to him about, he asked me, he's like, sorry I had to bother you to get you out of your house. And I said, no, that's right. I live here, which is the old movie theater that I live in. And they told him, and he's like, oh, that's kind of cool. He's like, any chance we can kind of wander around and they take a tour of the place? And I said, sure. Yeah, that's not a problem. And so we did that. We got upstairs and I said something to him about, what are you going to do with all these props? He's like, well, I'm building a haunted house over in Indiana, closing the one I've got here. And I said, where's that one? He's like, Ashmore Estates. I'm like, oh, I know where that's at. I've been out there before. So he said, yeah, we're going to sell it. I'm like, oh, and Norm was sitting over there in the chair in the living room going like, oh, crap. And so went out, looked at it, made him an offer. We worked out some details and kind of back and forth a little bit. And it was actually, I think it was a year ago, 8 years ago, yesterday or day before that I bought it. So it's been 8 years now. So here, Scott's back. We'll see if he can hear us now.
Yeah.
Can you hear us now, Scott?
I could, you know what happened? And I wish it was something real crazy and technical. When I was watching that video and Crystal and the acting was so horrendous, I had to lower it and I forgot to make it louder again. The volume was muted.
And you just admitted
That's it. Yes. So I'm good. And yeah, you guys, what's up? Thanks for having me.
And as I said, while you were off the screen, Scott's not real a technical whiz with
No.
this stuff. So
No,
If
not at all.
No.
In fact, this broadcast is coming to you live from basically as the gift from Jason Schneider, because when I was up there for DeadCon and Scarefest when I last saw you guys, I tried to do his show a couple times. I didn't know what the hell was going on, and he used StreamYard as well. He looks at my phone, does whatever, and 2 minutes later, I can get all these broadcasts now. So he fixed it. I'm on now. So yes, hello, happy paranormal day.
Yeah.
it is.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
whatever that means, I'm not sure whoever decided there was a paranormal day. I mean, Hallmark doesn't have cards, so I don't know that it's an official holiday.
Yeah. So how's it going?
Good. It's good. How you guys doing?
Good. Not too bad.
Good.
Busy,
Very
busy
cool.
we want to be sometimes. So
Yeah. Exactly.
When he's not getting pies in the face.
Yeah, I like that. That was good stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, a little different, and oh well. So how's Scott doing these days? Keep busy?
Yeah, Scott's really busy. He's talking in third person. I apologize. But, no, very good. We're currently getting Cool Summer out there for people, and it's just about to be streaming everywhere, and we're gonna have VHS for it. We're gonna be doing Blu-ray and DVDs for them to get those out for everybody. It's an 80s slasher flick that we did about a year ago now. And it was all practical effects. We got the guy that did Zombieland Double Tap to do our effects, which was kind of cool. One of the guys on that. And it's been actually getting pretty good reviews for what it is. You know, it's not going to set the world on fire. It's not going to win Academy Awards, but that's not what it was about. It was about making this kind of niche film for people in the slasher genre. And there's a lot of nods to 80s stuff, and there's a lot of Easter eggs in there for true hardcore horror fans. So we wanted to get that out for people. And I'm currently working, like I have the binder here, and I'm taking a time out from my busy schedule, Robin, to listen to you guys muted and figure out what the hell's going on, so I can hop back on my own computer and edit, continue editing the schedule for Cool Summer 2. We're doing a pickup shots in a second unit beforehand. In about 2 weeks, we're going to be doing a full day's shoot to thin out the main schedule, and then in June we're going to be filming Cool Summer 2, and have pretty much everyone back on board for it. It's gonna be a blast, and we're hoping to get that out on the heels of part 1, which it takes a while when you have an indie film for it to actually see the light of day, and sometimes not at all. But we're lucky to be getting this, but it does take a while for stuff to get out there. So by the time this one gets out there, part 2 will literally be, riding its coattails, so to speak, and basically right on its heels. So hopefully that works. And I have some, plans down the line as well. I was talking to Jim yesterday, and we have a project planned for right after this, a little bit of a departure from what we're doing. And then I have another thing lined up after that I am starting to flesh out on paper and in my mind, which is always a scary thought. But staying busy. I'd love to get back into paranormal though. You guys have. I know you saw my post the other day, and I didn't want to sound like I was ranting and whining and everything, but
you were.
well, a little bit. And the main thing is that GHI is, we've always been the underdog, even when Ghost Hunters was out. And Ghost Hunters is awesome, but Ghost Hunters was out, and between commercials it would say next week on Ghost Hunters, and it would promote that. When GHI was on, usually between commercials it would say this January on Ghost Hunters they return. It's like, advertise our shit. Like, we never got that. So we've always been like the
redheaded stepchild.
This redheaded stepchild a little bit. I was trying to not make any comparisons there. but we've always been one of the favorites from people. And to this day, people love GHI, and people are always, and they're not blowing smoke. They're always saying, that was the real no BS show. It was one show that didn't really have a gimmick. The gimmick that everyone thought was the locations really turned out that wasn't the case, because when I first got on the show, I think the producers, from the way everyone acted, everyone was great, but I think they thought that they could kind of move people around here and there, and it would just all be all about the locations. To a point, that was true, but you didn't get invested in the show because the investigators were gone every week. It was always somebody else, and it was always, even I liked the show, but I'm like, who are these guys? They're going to be gone next episode. Sometimes mid-episode, they didn't come back for another case. So it was, it was tough to get into that. They realized maybe, I'd say, a year or two into the show that we all had our own followings. And so they started respecting that. So they started, really marketing us as a team and letting us really carry the show rather than the locations necessarily carrying everything. It was a good balance between everything. And I think people liked the balance that we struck in terms of technology. And, at that point, I mean, Robbins always seems to be one step ahead of everybody else. But for the most part, for the shows, I mean, Robin, when the show came out, I think when I first met you early on, and you had all like arsenal of stuff early on. But that was all with GHI was always about the technology and trying to push things forward. And there was a reason behind it. A lot of things nowadays, things just light up, they make sounds, they look cool. Some of them are cool, some of them work, some of them I can understand the science behind them, some of them I have no idea. Obviously, can't unmute my phone. But when we did GHI, we were actually doing stuff for a reason. There was a reason behind every piece of equipment that we used. And I think people respected that. So when all these shows come out nowadays, a lot of them are just gimmicks, it's fine. It's a lot of entertainment value, but people do miss the true intrinsic value of what we brought to the field. And I think that still holds up nowadays. I mean, there's certainly some good shows out there. There's certainly a lot of junk. So, GHI has never really got that recognition after the fact we did. It's like, you guys did a great job. It's like, great. Well, thank you. Thanks for being one of the 5 people that watched us. But, at the same time, when we were a team, there were 6 of us. But I always felt like I was the one that was left out of stuff. I mean, when they put out one of the DVDs, it sounds kind of petty, but they had the 5 guys on the cover and not me, and they had a blank. It's like there was room for me. You just didn't put me on a cover, so I don't know what the hell happened. But at the same time, when we do events, especially me, people always say that I'm a very easy guest. I'm liked, I get along, I interact with people well, I do good lectures, I'm a good guest. It's just I'm never on the top of anyone's list of, hey, let's invite Scott to something. So it's a little frustrating. It really is, especially when you hear things opening up near your house. It's like, I really will come there free. I will go there free. Just give me a table. Well, okay. It's a little frustrating, but I mean, there's still good ones as well. And I have one coming up that's going to be a great event. I think it's in October. I'm doing a Keith Age, Upstate Spirit Conference. And then I just got, we're going to be announcing this to Jim and I, my business partner. We were just confirmed for a horror convention coming up. So we're getting a few here and there, and we have one already that we're going to be getting next year. And Jim admittedly is in pre-retirement mode. So he's this old cranky man that really doesn't want to do much. So he's being very selective, and I'm being selective, but not by choice. Like there's nothing to select. So, it is what it is. But I mean, I'm having a lot of fun, and I still have a lot of support in the community. But it's weird, it's really true that I can understand the investigators that watch a lot of these shows week in and week out, because I did the same thing. They watch these shows and they're like, we're better than these investigators. What the hell don't we have a show for? I totally empathize with them. I totally understand that completely. Because to this day, it's like, I understand that, shows are out there and they're popular and that's whatever, but don't forget about the OGs. I mean, some of them have a great following, and this is 10 years since GHI is off the air this year. What a missed opportunity for someone to get us all together, especially some of us that are like I'll freaking fly in on my own dime for stuff, like put an event together. And it's just, it is what it is. We'll see what happens, but we're just certainly not on the top of anyone's mind ever. It's okay.
How'd you get on the
I
show?
kinda,
What's that?
Go ahead, Robin.
no, that's right. Go ahead. Yes,
I was
how you,
just,
how you,
I was
how
just
you got on the
asking
show?
how you originally got on the show.
He's
Oh,
from the
they,
Bronx. He held a gun to their head. What do you
yeah,
think?
I'm from
Yeah,
Queens, Queens,
put me
Queens.
on.
Oh, Queen.
As long as you
Sorry.
don't, as long as you don't mess it up with Jersey, we're okay. That's, I can't go there. No, but they had all these casting calls. Even when Ghost Hunters first came on, they had stuff like, do you have what it takes to investigate with the team? Win this, bag of equipment, just do this and this and that and apply online, and then they said you could be in the, win a spot as a guest investigator on the show and do this and apply online. It was always stuff like that. And they asked for like this much and I gave them like this much. Like I went out of my way to do stuff and I never even heard anything. And I understand. I mean, millions of people probably applied, but that was disheartening. So when there was an opening for GHI, was literally a casting call online. And one of my team members of my former paranormal team came to me and he said, hey, this is 50, was it, Jesus, 11, 12, 13 years ago. And he said, hey, they're looking for people for GHI. And I'm like, the show's cool, but I'm not into being rejected again. No, thank you. And it's not worth the time and effort. So he applied, both of us, unbeknownst to me. And they started calling me, interviewing me. They flew me out to California for um, a psychological test, which obviously I failed because they accepted me. But they did. They brought me out there. Then they did a screen test. They brought some GHI guys from the team, the active guys, into a location that Taps had just investigated for ghost hunters. It was in California. I think it was called Preston Castle in Ione, California. And I remember my very first interaction with some of the GH guys was I was in the same hotel as them and I saw Steve and Tango briefly. They were walking down the hotel hallway. They had their pajamas on. Steve had pajama pants on something. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm applying for GHI right now. I'm very excited. It's cool to meet you guys. And like, oh, hey, good luck. They didn't go out of their way to be crazy and they weren't rude. They were perfect. They were the way they should have been. And we went to the location. He started filming us, and I guess I don't say a natural, but I gelled with the team and got on board and was there. And I was there for a good chunk of episodes, usually like in the beginning of season 2. Then Britt came on for a bit, and then he was not on anymore, and then I was on the rest of the run of the show. So I was on the majority of the show. And I was there when they switched over some of the producers, the main showrunners, and when they switched over some of the team, like Rob was not on board anymore, and Brandy and Ashley weren't on board anymore. But they brought Joe in, they brought Chris in. Barry was running the team, and that, for all intents and purposes, became the. I don't want to discount the other guys at all because I mean they got the show where it was and got it going. But when they finally stopped moving the team around, the 6 of us became the kind of the face of the show for the remainder of a good half of the show. And so, it's not like we don't know who people don't know who we are. It's like, bring us in for some things. It'd be nice. So that's where that post came from, Robin. little out of character for me, but I'm allowed once in a while.
I don't blame you. I mean, it's yeah. I think a lot of times though, people are like, well, we don't want to go out because these guys are going to want thousands of dollars to come
Right.
out to the event, and they're afraid to ask. Like, what would it take to get you to come to some location?
Right.
And I think the more that maybe you're out there and talking about some of that stuff, people will say, I can bring these guys in, and they're going to draw probably a few people anyway.
Well, especially
and
when
maybe
you
do a some type of GHA type of seminar and all too.
right. I mean, and you have people that and it's cool. I mean, if you go to like even these horror conventions, everyone, it's like Robert Englund and Kane Hodder there again, but it's Robert Englund and Kane Hodder. Amen. You want to see them. So yes, they should be there. But people already are starting to look outside like, hey, we're kind of seeing all of these people again. These guys are still known, they still have stuff to offer. They're doing other things. I mean, I know myself, I'm doing indie film. And every time I do a lecture now, Jim and I both, Jim founded the Hollywood Ghost Hunters, which Kane Hodder was a part of and everything else. And being a veteran stunt guy in Hollywood for 40 years, the man knows stuff. So we used to have paranormal lectures that kind of, I don't know if to say devolved or evolved, but they morphed into more of a Q&A with people where people want to know, how is it working in paranormal? How is paranormal reality TV? Like, what is reality? What's not? And you know, how does that all merge with like indie film and everything? It makes for good lectures. And the questions are always there's always a moderator, always like, okay, guys, we have to stop now. There's so many questions and there's so much stuff that we don't get to answer. So we do have a lot to offer. And, I'm not just saying myself, but some of these shows that were really good that were canceled, either prematurely or just canceled, and still not forgotten. These guys should be out there. They should be putting themselves out there, and they should be given a chance to expand on stuff, because it's still cool to have those different. I don't want to say I'm from the old school, because you had old school paranormal investigators, but we're from the older new school, I guess. So to see everyone's take on stuff, it's really cool. With paranormal in general, you always want to say that there's no experts in the field, and that's true. But at the same time, if you're focusing on this same specific demographic of the paranormal reality shows or whatnot, you still have tunnel vision there. You kind of need to open it to other people. That's just my opinion. I just think you kind of need to be well-rounded all over the place. It should be a big think tank. I mean, it's cool to see people, and it's cool to, hey, I haven't seen you in years, or take some photos, pick up some stuff. That's cool. But it's a paranormal think tank. It should be a collective whole to try to figure out what's still going on, because we know this much of what's going on out there. Despite what everyone wants to tell you, we don't know anything. So it's
Right.
it's kind of cool to bring in as much help as you can, and try to make something worthwhile of stuff.
Yeah, a couple of the guys that from back basically the 10 years ago or 11, 12 years
Hmm.
ago, about the same time frame that you were about talking about,
Hmm.
two of the guys that are kind of my favorites to listen to in lectures and all are the Kling brothers.
I was just going to bring them
And
up. Yeah.
yeah, and they're another pair that they don't get asked to a lot of seminars or a lot of events, but I
Right.
think a lot of it's because people today, they want to see people that are on TV today, and they want to
Yeah.
see the new kids on the block, so to speak, like
Right.
the Destination Fears and
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 I
the Ghost Adventures, stuff like
and
that.
I 100% get that. Just it's weird though, is that, and I'm glad to see that, Everyday Paranormal, and they're doing all their other stuff now, and they're really exciting to watch. Those guys, they're cool, they're nice, they know their stuff. But you know, Ghost Lab was obviously unceremoniously canceled. It was treated badly. They started putting on late. They were doing dumb things with the show. We remember when we were on the air doing GHI, we're like, what are they doing with Ghost Lab? Like, we always thought they were cool. Like, what? That's not cool how they're treating these guys. These guys deserve better. So they're getting better, which is great for them. But it's I don't know. It's tough to. Some of the shows are off for a reason. GHI got off the air because, to be honest, the market was oversaturated. At that time, they had so many paranormal shows coming out. It
Mhm.
was just too many. And, I think that shows like GHI, it's still, even if it's not on, that's one of the few shows, aside, I think, from Ghost Lab, because that's a really good one as well. They retain such a huge loyal following. I wouldn't necessarily ostracize them or alienate them that quick, because they still can fill seats. They can still, get it done. And I think it's interesting to have a good um, mixture of everything. 'Cause I'm starting to see the same people over and over and over and over and over again. There's a couple of events that I can't believe that I have still not been invited to, and they look like they're inviting everybody under the sun. And it looks like some people are coming from God knows where, and it's like, even when I was on GHI, really? Like, seriously? So it is what it is, but I just don't understand. I don't know how you're going to broaden your view of the whole paranormal field by not bringing in some of, uh, if the same people keep getting around and trying to figure out the same problem, I don't think you're going to really evolve. You're going to depend on technology, which is good, but then it's not good. You should bring in other brains and have a bigger think tank. I think that would make much more compelling event, personally.
Marcus had a question about Ghost Lab. No, they did not have a retired detective. It was Barry and Brad Kling.
Right.
I think you're thinking about,
The
and I just
cops,
lost his name.
was it? It was the cops one,
Well,
right?
Yeah, I think he's,
I'm not sure.
well, the detective that he's talking about has done some stuff with them just recently. He's done some shows. I can't, shoot, I can't, I lost his name. Greg Lawson. I think that's maybe who he's thinking about.
Okay.
And, but yeah, he's done some stuff with them, some events and all. But no, he wasn't on the show with them. But, I like GHI. I remember watching some of that. I think the thing that for me is the paranormal shows I've listened to are ones generally when I thought I might be interested in a location. And I might be interested in going to one of those. And I think that was the problem that maybe some people might have had, because I'm like, I'm never going to probably go overseas and look at.
Right.
I've been to Ireland before, but I've never, I'm not going to get a chance to go overseas and see these locations.
Right.
So I may watch a little bit of it, but then it's like, yeah, I'm not going to get a chance to go there, so I'm not going to watch it. And,
right. I mean, in hindsight, when the show was out, we were all like crap talking about Ghost Lab, and I mean, not Ghost Lab, I'm sorry, I like Ghost Lab, Ghost Adventures and all this and that. And a lot of the things we would get, because we were always told specifically, do not look at the message boards. So every day before we filmed, we'd go on a message board. It's just what we did. But we always got stuff like, you guys are you're useless, you're terrible investigators. Why don't you ever find demons all the time like Ghost Adventure? And that pissed me off. And then, right, a lot of us were like, are you kidding? You can't tell the difference between what everyone is doing and whatnot. And I kind of resented that for that reason. Once people started and I'm not taking anything away from some of those guys on that team, but when you realize that a show is out to teach procedure and to show investigating, and one that leans more towards sensationalism, which is fine too, you start respecting that a little bit. Like with Ghost Adventures, if and I've really, to be honest, I'd have never watched that show, or maybe one episode, but I guess it's an hour long. But with Ghost Hunters International, you would have the 2-minute case briefing in a car by Susan. We'd show up to the location, take 2 minutes. You'd show us 2 minutes to set up, and then you'd have Barry and Chris investigate. They'd say, "Oh, what was that?" And it was a commercial. That was the way it went, because they had to follow that formula. They had to rope you in and do whatever. I thought that was fine, but a lot of times the cool locations that we went to, I felt were not necessarily explored fully, because if you guys are investigating, Robin, if you go to investigate and you have a really bad, stressful day, you're probably not going to want to investigate. Or if you do, you're trying not to bring all that external stimuli with you, because it's going to have an adverse effect on a case. So the fact that we had to, some of these cases where we had to climb up mountains or float equipment behind us in watertight bags, and just do crazy stuff, and we were exhausted, physically tired, sometimes we would hurt ourselves, that should all play into the show, because that would play into the actual investigation, quality of the investigation or whatnot. And they never showed that. Ghost Adventures, to me, if they go to show up to investigate at a place, if the place that they're investigating requires 40 minutes of an episode to explain everything and to get them to where they need to be, they will go ahead and do that. So they don't really have the mold, you know what I mean? They don't really have a template to follow. And I kind of respect that. I kind of understand what they're doing, and I can kind of see why they have such a big following. To me, that makes sense. But when you get people, you can fly them across country or across the world, put them in this really cool location, and then film them in the dark. You don't really get to experience that much of the location. And unfortunately, it's a lot of that doesn't come across the way that it did to us. We filmed hundreds of hours of footage, and they only had to do a clip show. But I never thought the places were fully realized for the audience, which was a shame. But these places were great, but we were there to teach technique and procedure on how we did stuff. We weren't ever the experts, like, this is what you need to do, we know everything. No, we never did that. But what we did say was, this is not right. There's certain ways that you can investigate that are just wrong, but it doesn't mean that we're necessarily the 100% answer for everything, but there's definitely wrong ways to do stuff, and we tried to connect with the audience that way. Unfortunately, the audience that we were trying to connect to was investigators mostly, and that was a small demographic of the viewers. Now, our viewership certainly wasn't bad, but was it spectacular or stellar? No. I mean, we were probably between 1 and 2 million views every week, which is really not bad. But we weren't catering to a giant, audience that wanted to see us get possessed every week or do crazy stuff. That just wasn't what we were about. I think we were proud of the fact that we kept our integrity intact by doing stuff that way.
I just want to throw something out there. Years ago, Scott and I actually went to South Park, Colorado. I know it's just completely random, but like I love South Park, and I was just like every time we run into each other, I think about how we hung out in South Park.
That was great, man. That was fun. We had a good time. Yeah, we the three of us go way back, and we've
Yeah.
been through a lot. And you guys have seen how and Robin, I know you've been in this much longer than I've been in this, but you see how the whole terrain and the whole trajectory of the field has changed over the years. I've only been investigating since like 2003, and it has changed drastically in that period of time. So I can imagine these people that have been investigating from the 80s, 70s, 90s, what they've seen so much. I mean, Ghost Hunters certainly wasn't the first paranormal show out there, but it was the first one that really humanized people and really brought it literally into everyone's living rooms on a weekly basis. So, the impact that that show had, if you had a paranormal teen, you were I was doing this anyway. I was judging teams that were around before Ghost Hunters because they had their own thing, they had their own whatever. Every team, and my team included that I had, every team that came out after Ghost Hunters was kind of looking like, oh, are you a pale imitation? Are you trying to be Jason? Are you trying to be Grant? What's with the matching shirts? That's just what it was. And it was very interesting to see that there is definitely a shift between the pre-Ghost Hunters and post-Ghost Hunters teams. But I mean, imitation is definitely the best form of flattery, but you can see a switch in the teams then. And unfortunately, I don't do a lot of the events now. I try to do what I can do, but like I said, I'm not really invited to that many, but most of them are charity events or lectures or a few cons here and there, which is cool. I do appreciate it. But I try to, um, you know, I just try to answer a lot of questions about how things changed over the years and how I've seen them as an investigator. And it really is interesting to see, to hear audiences and hear different, to get feedback from older paranormal investigators and new ones, and to see how they're very alike on certain areas, but they're so different on other areas. It's pretty interesting.
Marcus got a pretty good question here. In fact, I was going to ask you about that anyway.
Oh, I see that. How come they never spoke the language of country they live in? Actually, we did, and what was odd was every time we went to a country, we had a contact or a fixer or whatever, and he would basically be our point of contact for everything. When you would go overseas, you became very close with the team, the cast and the crew. I hate to say cast because we weren't actors. God knows, you see my movies. I'm not an actor, but for these purposes, there was a cast and a crew, and we all became very close when we were overseas because there was generally about 20 of us, and your world becomes very small, and you're surrounded by these 20 people all the time, with the exception of this fixer or contact or whatever, and they would generally be native, a native of the country and a fluent speaker of the language that we went to. So a lot of times we would try to figure out what we were investigating, and we would write down questions beforehand of what we wanted to ask, and we would ask this person or a lot of times I hate to make it sound like we were camping in caves 24/7, but we'd go and stay out downstairs to the Holiday Inn front desk and say, how did you say this in your in the language here, and write it phonetically, so we would try to not butcher it. So we would write it down. We would say we want to say this, they'd write it down to try to explain it the best that we could. We were told by, I don't know if it was our local production team or if it was the Hollywood higher ups, that said, you can say what you want in other languages to try to evoke a response, but we're probably not going to use it because we're going to have to subtitle stuff. You may butcher the language, so you have to say it again in English. We would always have to do it twice, and they very rare, I think once or twice they use the other language, but we don't speak all the languages, although I think Barry actually spoke a few. But we would just, hell, I could barely speak English, just New York accent, I butcher everything. But we would just have a hard time um, getting these to actually get through the cutting room off the cutting room floor, unfortunately. But yeah, we totally did that. We would try to always evoke a response to whoever we were, wherever we were going, and try to communicate them properly. You know that this there's a theory of like this universal consciousness that once somebody passes away, any affliction that you have, physical impairment or whatever, is automatically gone. Any kind of language barrier you have that is automatically gone. I don't know if I buy into that. I don't know if I buy into that. I think if you were an a-hole in life, you're going to be an a-hole in death. I don't think you're suddenly, if, oh, I'm changed, I'm just a normal a spirit that's flown. I just think the way you are then is the way you are that way. And I think that, trying to label ghosts as like, this is a intelligent haunt, this is a demonic, this is what you can't label what we don't know into 3 or 4 categories. I know it's very neat to want to do that for TV, to want to do that for your websites, to put up there and label it and say this is examples of whatever. But there's millions of us with millions of different personalities. I can tell you, and God help everybody because they don't, so I feel bad for them. But I'd say, the 100 people, 1,000 people that I meet, nobody has my personality. They all have their own personality. Everyone's unique, and I think that's the same thing with the spirit. And I think you have to temper yourself accordingly, and you have to adjust your approach accordingly to what you're trying to reach. And I think that you know allowing us to speak, at least to get it going, to get open a line of communication in the proper language, was very important. It's hard enough, the language barrier, but not realizing that you could be speaking to, trying to communicate with something that is very old. So they could be communicating with you in slang, in foreign slang, and you don't know these words that may have been used in 1700s. You don't know what they are now at all, even if it was English. It's like, what are you saying? That doesn't make sense to me, these words. So that was hard to deal with. That was a barrier. You have to deal with a lot of, there's a phenomena of, I guess, I don't know if there's the word for it, but it's almost like a natural backward masking. How, like Ozzy Osbourne and the Beatles were accused of like putting stuff backwards on records, but sometimes things would come through and the messages would be backwards. So you'd have all these barriers to deal with. We certainly didn't want language to be one of them.
I got a question. Since you're going out of the country, how were locations picked, and like, how did that process go with things?
We had in West Hollywood was a production company, and they would actually find these locations. But again, each one of us had our followings. We had paranormal teens that would, like to contact me, like to contact Barry, like to contact Paul. We had all these people that we dealt with, and they would say, "Hey guys, we have this investigation here. You may want to check this out in the Netherlands, or you may want to do this and that. We can set you up with one of the teams that we deal with there, or we may be there to help you." And sometimes we would send these ideas to the production team back in Hollywood, and they welcome these ideas. A lot of times they would try to incorporate them. Sometimes it was just cost prohibitive, or just logistically not feasible for whatever reason. But yeah, a lot of times it did work. And then at the same time, there was a couple instances before I joined the team where I don't know if they were given misinformation or whatever, but they showed up to locations and there was nothing there. So they'd like sit there and spin their wheels for a few days until the production team really scurried to get something else and get them going, because time was money. They're sitting around not doing anything, and it's just crazy. But it was a collective effort for sure on that.
I think Joe Chin was telling me about a location. It's been years ago. He's telling me about a location that you guys
wall
went to. And which one?
He went to a place and it was some wall, and it was supposed to be this giant place, and it ended up being like a little slab in the ground.
Well, the place I was talking about was that you guys went there, and they said you guys can investigate everything like that, but you can't say you're finding ghosts. And he's like, well, that's what we're here for. And I
Right.
guess they spent about you may not have been at the show at the time, but he said they spent like a week at this location,
Mhm.
just hanging out, waiting.
Yeah.
And they never did investigate it.
Right. Yeah. And it was at the same time, there was one that we did that was in, well, I'm not going to mention the location, but there was a place, the place actually wanted us to find it haunted because they wanted to be able to use that as marketing. Say GHI was here and said it was haunted, come on in. And that's why when, as you guys were saying, or I think Robin, you said, you alluded to the fact that it was tough to kind of identify with a lot of times what we were doing because you wouldn't get to see half these locations
Right.
overseas and whatnot. And that wasn't necessarily the case, again, because we were trying to impart our investigative skills and technique on everybody and just show what we were doing, and maybe at least try to steer people in a better direction with giving some good ideas. But every time I hear that, I know a lot of people like Tim Miley and some other people that they're able to keep going back to the same location, every couple months or every year or whatever. That's cool because you establish a relationship not only with the homeowner, but you establish it with whatever kind of entity is there. And there's starting to be a level of trust. There's starting to be a level of familiarity that's kind of really important to have, because when we go overseas, early on, they wanted us to say, this place is haunted, this place is not haunted. And if you pay attention to the early GHI episodes, we were doing that. All of a sudden, we got to the point where there is no black and white. So we were able to say, well, basically, mostly we said was, while we were here with our equipment for 2 or 3 days, we came in, we didn't find anything concrete enough to say that there was something here. So that doesn't mean that there's anything here, but again, if someone storms into my house, I'm hiding in the closet until they leave, right? If you storm into my house and you're here long enough and you're not doing anything, I may pop out and be like, oh, okay, I guess you're cool. That's why I envy a lot of people in the States that get to build these relationships with these places that they go to, like Waverly, Mike, Waverly, and this and this and this and that. That's cool. I don't think I've ever been able to double up on a location overseas. Like, never. When does that happen? So we were only able to do what we could do. We did the best we can do with the best equipment available to us at the time, but that still left a lot to be, figured out, that we just were not able to concretely say that it was yes or it was no in terms of being haunted, because we weren't there that long.
Tonight it'll be interesting asking my question, don't you think, Robin? Because
There you go. Yeah.
GHI, I mean, you've been to places outside the country and stuff, but every show I always ask people, if you could go anywhere in the world and investigate, where would you go to?
Jonestown. I always wanted to do Jonestown, and I was excited because we had that one lined up, and at the very last minute it fell apart. And I mean, apparently it was going to be some of the family of some of the people, or it was some survive. I don't know who survived, but it was like very close firsthand accounts of what happened at Jonestown. Either there were some survivors or families of these people that didn't survive something, and slowly it started falling apart, unfortunately. But I think so many people under such duress and such manipulation, both mentally and physically, all dying tragically at once in one place, there has to be energy there. There has to be some kind of unrest there. Now, that's almost like maybe like ground zero in 9/11, though. Like, obviously, that's a site of big tragedy. Are you investigating that? Or are you exploiting that? So, exploiting that. So I understand that that may be a little controversial for people, but personally, I've always been fascinated with Jonestown in general, and just the power of one person to do that to so many other people and to literally pull them under his control. It's fascinating, and I would just been love to just be on the grounds there and just to take it in. Um, it's just been something, and I would definitely relish the opportunity to go investigate that.
is GHI on any of these streaming platforms that you know of?
I think it's on Peacock, I believe.
Okay.
I think so.
Thanks.
But
Yeah.
I will.
Talking.
I will shamelessly bring up that Hell's Bells and Nightblade, Los Bastards' first two films are both on Tubi right now and free to watch, and
There you
and
go.
fun, and Robin's in both.
Yep. Yep.
He seems so enthused.
No, those two there, I enjoyed. My favorite was Hell's Bells that
Right.
you did, and but Nightblade was pretty good. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that, and enjoyed why I did that. Honestly, I hated my role in Cruel Summer, and you could have cut that, and I would have never had a problem with that at all because I thought it sucked. So
No, it's good.
and,
It's good.
And but
It was Robin thought it was so bad it broke his DVD player.
and I actually I haven't watched the whole thing yet. It's still in my DVD player. I haven't had a chance to get it out.
It was so compelling, Mike, that he's rushed to fix it. He's just like, screw it. I'll see it whenever. I'll catch it on Tubi.
What's kind of sad is that Tim Miley had the same problem I did.
Yeah, he eventually, I think, got it going. I think he's got several copies of it.
Oh yeah.
I think he just didn't like it, but that's all right.
And yep. So, but yeah. So hopefully, the Cruel Summer and Cruel Summer 2. If you haven't seen the Hell's Bells that's out and Nightblade, you need to check that and check it out and watch them because Hell's Bells is a comedy horror, which I thought you guys did a great job on. My wife even liked it. She doesn't like horror really at all. But Norma liked it, and
that's the one that
came.
My wife hates that movie. She thinks it's so
Hell's
stupid.
Bells?
Yeah, I'm like, that was the point. Jim and I have great chemistry. It comes across in that film. I mean, it was fun. That was a fun one.
And yeah, it's got a little bit of the the blood with the horror and everything in there, but a lot of the comedy.
Yeah.
And so that's what you could actually see that happening with the two Nimnoits that where you guys played.
Well, we managed to rope Skippy out of Mark Price, Skippy from Family Ties. We actually managed to rope him into his first film in 30 years, and he was great. He was a lot of fun on set. He was a cool guy. Very, very awesome to have.
The best blood scene almost happened at 3:00 in the morning when I took him to the airport. And you would have missed filming that one. When I went up to his room and he's like, you know what? You were right. They're in a different time zone. Come back in an hour. I'm like, oh, hell no. You get in the car now. We're leaving. Because I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go back and wake my wife up for 1 hour to sit in a room waiting for you to get ready. So
that's
we're
hilarious.
5 minutes.
Well, we have all these stories. Like when we did Nightblade, I went to Todd Bridges for, Jim and I have worked together for years already. I think I met Jim in 2012 and we worked on, I've probably been in total right now 15 movies, 18 movies, something like that. And most of them with Jim. And then not all his projects. They just like us together. Everyone says we have unforced natural chemistry. He's also my BFF, if the kids say that anymore. So we're just really good with each other. But I always wanted to get Todd Bridges from Willis from Different Strokes in a movie and could never get it done. Finally got him in for Nightblade. And Cameron Scott, one of our very good friends and close filmmakers that's been with us he's been on with the long haul for us, but he's gonna be on Cruel Summer 2 as well as Cruel Summer 1 and Hell's Bells and Nightblade. But he took Todd Bridges, I think, to the airport. And Todd Bridges was smoking and burnt a hole through his seat in the car. And Cameron's like, no, that's awesome. That's like a battle scar. I could tell everybody that Todd Bridges burned a hole in my seat. So, we all have our stories. It's good stuff.
Most people will be like, I can't believe you burned a hole in my seat. And it's like, oh,
Right.
Todd Bridges.
Yeah, it's just Todd Bridges.
Jim was wondering where you can get the DVDs.
So Cruel Summer's not even out yet. I do have some copies left. They're Indiegogo copies. It's a full film with some bonus features. If you're interested, just message me on Facebook. I can send out an autographed copy. They don't like $15 shipped, not a lot. And I do have Nightblade and Hell's Bells copies as well. If you're interested in those, hit me up. If you're interested, they're on Amazon or whatever, but give them to me. I can sign those for you, get them out to you as well. Thank you.
Yep. And you have your website? They can go to your website. Can they purchase those from you on your website, or?
They're they link to like Amazon or one of those things. Yeah, they're on
Okay.
there. Yeah.
And but yeah, so just get a hold of Scott, and he can set you up. And those aren't streaming yet, are they?
Cool Summer?
Yeah. Well,
No.
it's Cruel Summer or Hell's Bells and
Hell's
Nightblade.
Bells is on Tubi right now. Nightblade is on Tubi right now, and so those are free to watch. Cool Summer is not available anywhere unless you buy one from me. Literally, they're nowhere. And I think we're still probably looking at maybe a or I was told early to midsummer release for the VHS, and then probably fall for streaming and Blu-ray and DVD and all that. So those are still a whiles off. But
Yeah, so if
the
you
other
want
ones,
one of those 3 copies of the VHS, you need to get the quick. So there's
I think we're doing a limited, that's what they always do now. I think it's either 25 or 50, but those will be around for a while. So I'm gonna buy a bunch, but they'll be laying around for a while,
there's only one reason out there why they're being done on VHS. Because Scott's huge into VHS. And it's
Yeah.
like, and I gotta ask you,
Slightly.
I've never asked you, it's like, why VHS?
I just, you know what? People always say this too, but there's probably 50 or 60% of movies that have been released that are still not on any other format. So that's cool. Back then they didn't have any internet. So all of their marketing was done on the artwork of the movies. And the movies they're incredible artwork because that was their selling point for people. And sometimes some of the companies resorted to big boxes because it took up more shelves on the video store racks, which evened the playing field for everybody. And you'd have multi-million-dollar movies right next to crappy little independent films, and it literally evened the playing field for everybody. So it was a matter of marketing the hell out of it, mismarketing it, false advertising it, but those films were glorious to look at, the boxes. And unlike vinyl, who everybody will debate the fact, nobody will debate the fact that vinyl music sounds better on vinyl. It sounds deeper, richer. It just doesn't sound as good on CDs or even being streamed. It just doesn't sound, those layers aren't there. VHS movies on VHS, do they look better? Of course not. They don't look better than Blu-ray or DVD or 4K or anything. But that kind of adds to the aesthetic for a lot of these films. Like if you watch Night of the Living Dead or Texas Chainsaw Massacre on a washed out VHS tape, it looks a hell of a lot scarier than it does on a polished, recolored, usually problematic with the way they chose their colors and their audio balances on DVD or Blu-ray. They look better on VHS. So a lot of the films that I like benefit from being on VHS. They look better. The new one, when they're upgraded, they weren't made to be upgraded. So you're kind of forcing these color grading, forcing this sharpening of this image that was never there because it was never meant to be on that format. When you do that, a lot of times you start seeing lines on people's makeup. You start seeing the strings on props, some of the fake looking stuff. It kind of takes a lot away from a lot of these films. And I just love VHS. I really do. I've always had them. They're more durable. I just like them. My whole room behind me is about 3,000 tapes.
I remember every time we would be out traveling somewhere, like you'd see a place.
Right.
Hey,
We stop in, Mike, stop it.
Yeah.
That one time we stopped on the side of the road by that tent.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've got, just sometime drive your car up to Auburn. I have boxes and boxes of VHS tapes. I've sent you a few of them, but
you did.
I still end up with these. I've done stupid things with auctions. You want to make like $1 bid on 100 tapes, and you win it. And
yeah.
So that's not $1 a piece. That's like $1 for all of them. And, so I have like boxes of these things, and I got rid of a bunch of them recently. So yeah. They're just so darn heavy to ship too.
They are. But medium mail's cheap. That's always good. As long as you don't put any kind of correspondence in the box, they'll ship it medium mail for some reason. If you put thank you in there, then you can't put it in medium mail. It's so stupid. But that's what USPS does. I don't know. But
so if you're ever up in Central Illinois, let me know, and I'll load you up with all the VHS tapes you can carry.
There you go.
Your car will be going back like this.
I'll fly myself back. That's fine. Yeah.
But I actually have a couple of VHS tapes because, like you said, you can't find all movies on DVD.
Right.
And there's one hockey one that I've got.
The Miracle one. Yeah, I've been.
Yeah, Miracle. Yep.
Miracle. Yeah, Miracle
And,
on Ice or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, Miracle on Ice, which is different than the Miracle that everybody sees with Kurt Russell.
Right.
And I like it better. It was Collier and Malden, or Collier and Malden had did that one, and I like that one better. It's not available on DVD. You can find knockoffs on it, and basically just somebody's recorded it. That's all they've done.
Yeah, I'm always looking for that one for you.
Yeah, and that one's gotten crazy price wise too. Some of those
stupid.
are just, they've just gone up in price quite a bit. And
yeah, it's really what happened was several years back there was, and they kind of swept it under the rug, but some magazine got hold of got wind of the fact that there was like a copy of Beauty and the Beast selling on eBay for like 10 grand. And then people just started getting all crazy. Oh, I have a copy of that. I have a copy. They're in every single thrift store. You see 10,000 copies and they're worth nothing. These people were taught, they were found out to be laundering money through that. They were doing that, using that as a front for everything. That's what they were doing. But this article has taken legs, and it grew legs, and it's been going all over the place, and it just took off. And every couple of years, it kind of recycles, and it comes out again. It resurfaces. Now the new thing is there's this bullshit complete. Oh, that's I guess a good word now. I don't think that's a South Park kind of to there. But they had the count, and they kept going up. They got like 100 in one episode. But they have this thing that like this IGA grading or whatever the hell it is. It's a scam. It's total BS. They're finding tapes in stores and saying it's sealed, 10.0 copy, and it's sold for $25,000 a copy of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Well, it's like, this is the copy. Ooh, 25,000. It's worth nothing. And it's just, this is what they do. And apparently there's something going on with this too. Like they're laundering money, or people are saying, I don't know, I'm not gonna say it, but people are saying they're laundering money, or they're shady, or they're doing something crazy, tax shelter. I don't know, something. But there's people that are buying into it, which is ridiculous. And so it doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it easier for the actual true collector out there that wants to carry these tapes around for their true intrinsic value to them. I like popping in a tape that has rental labels on it. You even brought up, why do I like VHS? But when you pull take a tape out of the case and it's got all these old labels on it, you wonder who watched that copy of Friday the 13th in, Fair Lawn, New Jersey, who was renting that particular copy in 1987, sitting around, with their friends eating pizza on a Friday night. There's so much history on these tapes. It's awesome. They don't have that with a Blu-ray and DVD. They have shitty, cut and paste, lazy, photoshopping work on it, flimsy cases. These tapes, man, there's something to them, and they're special for sure. So I like them much more than just the film themselves. I'm not gonna watch half these. So a lot of these I've seen, a lot of these I haven't seen. But I like color. I like the cover. I like just I don't know how to explain it. I think that makes sense though. I mean, I'm like complete idiot. I mean, not complete.
No, not complete. I mean, sure, Kim doesn't think you're a complete idiot.
Right.
I'm sure. So.
Right.
Borderline, maybe, but not complete. So.
Every time, this is the conversation we have and everything. Sweetie, listen, how much did it cost? What? Let me tell. No, how much did it cost? It's another rare one. I know she's over it. But God bless her. God bless.
Does that go over well with her? Because it doesn't work with Norma.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, Norma sits there when I go through and tell people, talk about things like the Frank's boxes and stuff like that. It's like, this is about what these are worth. Like, she's making notes off to the side, like, okay, I know how much I can sell that for.
Right. There's a meme I shared a while back, and it said something like, my greatest fear is that when I die, my wife's going to sell my VHS tapes for what she thinks I told them they were worth, or something, or what she thinks I paid for them, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So. Yep, unfortunately, but so that's the way it works sometimes. So, well, I suppose we should probably let you get back to editing, so you can go out there and kill some more people and everything.
That's right.
And
the first one again, if anyone's interested in it, though, like I was making just a straight slasher, typical '80s film, get people together, kill them off. We have 17 practical kills in 78 minutes. On no budget, so it's a lot of fun. Pretty ambitious, and we're gonna do it again in June.
when you have no budget, just kill them off quick. Get rid
That's
of them.
it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
So, oh, you want to trust me so much to be here? No, you're dying first. And,
Well, Mike's sadistic. Mike, every time Jim and I see Mike, Mike's like, listen, you got to cut my leg off in the movie. You got to lay me down, cut my leg off. It'll be cool. Cut my leg off. I'm like, oh, that's kind of wrong. No, cut my leg off. We'll probably take you up on that offer at some point.
Yeah, if you ever need to like kill somebody, like cut their leg off and beat them to death with it or something, I'm your man.
Sounds like John Dugan with the sawzall.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, and
he was so obsessed with like when Hospital first came out. I think it was the premiere. First of all, for the next year or two, when I'd see John, he'd always ask the same thing, which is, I love John. It was great. But I remember the premiere. It was a standing room only. We were there. And, I was part of the film, but it's Jim and Daniel. It was their baby. And Tommy Golden, I think, because they had Deviant Pictures. And that was the first film I did with Jim. But I'm standing against the wall towards the back because there was no seating. And Dugan comes over to me, and they have his famous scene from Hospital, and he comes over to me. He's like, how did my ass look? I'm like, you're watching it with me right now. It looks great, John. Like, what am I gonna say? Very odd, but he's very obsessed over there for a while. So, good guy though.
Yep. That the premieres were always filled to begin with, and then it was about half filled by the time at the end, because that was a pretty sick movie. So
yeah, Jim and I counted. We knew exactly one point where like, okay, this is going to be a part we're going to see this section go, and they would leave. So yeah, and most people didn't make it to the end of the film. And then the second, Hospital 2, the same thing. It was fun. It was pretty funny to watch.
Hospital 2 nearly as bad as
right.
In fact, I told Norman, I said, you're not even watching Hospital.
Right.
He said, you can watch Hospital 2 if you want to, but you don't want to watch Hospital.
We had a friend, a good friend of mine, that he was like joined at the hip with me, man. Jim knew him, and he was very good friend. And the guy started dating some girl, and he was involved with, I think, helping out me promote the Hospital. So he wasn't even involved with the film. And she somehow got him to stop talking to me because of my association with that film. I haven't heard from him since. Like, wow, really? Come on, get over yourself. But it is what it is.
It was a film. That was
it. Was. And, get over it. Grow up.
Yep. And speaking of which, like, do you think that taking parts in movies like that can help or hurt you?
I think that as long as you do a good job, you'll stand out regardless. If you just worry about yourself, worry about your own performance, or worry about how you carry yourself on the set, yeah, it can only help you out. It really can. Because what they'll say is, why the hell was this person in such a piece of shit? Or they'll be like, that was a good movie, and that person did a great job. Either way, if you make sure that you just worry about yourself, yeah, I think, I mean, the only bad exposure is no exposure, I believe. And I mean, I think that, everything could help. It definitely can, especially if it gets out there.
I think there's a lot of actors that get pigeonholed into certain types of parts, and that's all they end up playing. And or they get on a TV show. For instance, the cast of Friends.
Right.
That was a hit show, but when they broke up and they went their own way, you didn't really see a lot of them doing a lot of good movies.
That's a blessing and a curse, though, because it's like, yeah, you can't really break out from that, but it's like, but you were in Friends. Like, that's a mic drop. It doesn't matter anything else you ever do. What does it matter? Really, what does it matter? I know for myself that I never wanted. First of all, I always wanted to be do horror films, not paranormal. It was not, I didn't have anything that happened to me when I was younger that made me want to get into paranormal. I liked horror films, and I used to watch them all the time. And then I started checking out fantasy and supernatural and paranormal films like Poltergeist and Amityville Horror. And I was from New York, so Amityville there was even more to find out about that, growing up. And then I just always wanted to be in those things, and somehow I stumbled into paranormal. But no, if you I don't know what the hell I was going to say, but trust me, I was going to go in a glorious path, and I just don't remember what I was going to say. But
And this is Scott on set also.
yeah. Actually, I'm pretty together there though. But yeah, a little bit.
He's got his book out looking. What am I supposed to be doing now?
Yeah, a little bit. The Bible.
Yeah, there you go. And you got Lisa on the side going, Scott, no, not thou.
Right, and she's going to be. We're filming it in two places, Hospital 2 in Newport Richie for 3 days, and then we're going to Tallahassee and filming there for 3 days. Lisa is doing a paranormal event again, another one that I'm probably not invited to. So she's leaving after the first 3 days. So that's kind of like my right hand person that I'm not going to have for the remainder of the shoot. So that'll be a little challenging, but I'll get someone else to be on book and to keep people in line. And you know, Robin, you've been on the set with us quite a few times. We really are such a well-oiled machine, though. Like we kind of know what each other is going to need and whatnot. So it does really help run smoothly. It's not a bunch of people that I've never worked with before. I mean, it is, but the amount of the core people that I have been repeat, first of all, close friends and repeat. They've repeatedly worked with us on film, so it should hopefully go smooth. Jim's going to be on set for 1 day. Managed to pry himself away from Disney.
The mouse let him loose.
Yeah, he's going to be doing some stunt coordinating for us, and he's got a scene. And I was talking to him yesterday about it again, and yeah, so hopefully everything goes well. Getting very organized and planned out for it. So
well, hopefully it all comes together well for you.
Yeah.
So we'll that it takes off and does well, and we'll see you walking down the red carpet there, waving at people at the Academy Awards, and Will Smith like get out of here, Scott Tepperman.
Yeah, they'll be looking, but who the hell's that guy?
Or no, he'd be like this, going, this guy is Scott Tepperman.
Yeah, exactly.
But other than that, Mike, you got anything else for Scott?
I don't think so. It's been good catching up.
It has been, yeah. Miss you guys.
Yeah,
I
same
miss
here.
you guys too. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see you at some event. Maybe who knows, maybe Scarefest or something like that. Pop in out there or something again.
Yeah, I mean, I know that West says generally they don't, unless you like the really, really high end ones. Generally, they try to mix around the other guests, and I was definitely an other guest, but it probably would be a couple years anyway, and it's working out well because Ashley, my stepdaughter, I forgot what she has, but she's got something going on that weekend. She's got a concert. We were going to take her to a concert. She wanted to see a concert somewhere in Atlanta, and it was like Undertown. It was real bad area. We're like, we'll see whenever else they're playing. And it so happens they're playing the weekend that Scarefest is, and we're going to be out of town for that. So I can't make Scarefest anyway this year. So hopefully maybe next year or the year after we'll get back down there. But I want to catch up with you guys before then, and definitely we really should. You look and it's like, damn, time is going by quickly. So it's not cold.
Oh yeah.
So
yep, it doesn't take long. So
yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, thanks again for coming on tonight. Appreciate it. And you can, like I said, you can check Scott out. He's his website, and contact him. Let him know you're looking for some of those movies he's got out there, and join him. Hell's Bells and Night Blade are out there right now. Cruel Summer will be out before too long, and then Cruel Summer 2.
Yeah, and hit me up on Facebook, and I like to get people to friend on Facebook, not just to have numbers, but I really like to. Pretty much everyone will tell you that I like to interact with everybody on there on a more of a one-on-one basis. So get on my page, and I do consider you friends when you're on there. If you have questions, message me. Just don't send me evidence, because the only thing I'll ever say is I wasn't there. I don't know what controlled environment you had, so right away I can't answer any of those questions. So audio and video, but anything else, yeah, absolutely, definitely.
So don't send in your pictures.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Well, Scott, thanks again for coming on. And
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. This was fun.
We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Absolutely.
Night.
Thanks, guys.
See you.
Bye.
Night.
Bye.
Bye. It's always great talking to Scott. I haven't talked to him for a while. It's been some time. So
yeah, same here.
Next week, Sharon Coyle Farley, owner of Rolling Hills Asylum, is going to be our guest. So talk to her. I don't know if I've ever talked to her or not. So that'll be fun. You talked to her before?
Yeah, Off and on we talk, yeah. So I
Oh,
thought
that's
it'd be
cool.
interesting, when like to get some, because like when you had your show before that you were doing, before we started, the thing here with the video streaming and stuff. When you were doing that, you were doing locations, and I was like, we gotta bring some locations and stuff in here, people from some of these, and talk about some of those. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun to bring those in.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, appreciate it.
And yeah, Mike had his birthday is now your older sister's birthday was like a week or so ago, right?
Yeah, she's gonna kill you for saying older.
Oh, no, that's right. You're much older than she is. That's what
Yes,
she's.
that's her terms. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
much older than me. Whatever.
that's what I told her. I said, well, since you're much older, than she is, then she must have been a mistake. I don't think she agreed with me, but um, but yep. So
Thanks.
yeah, we got Sharon coming on next week, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
yeah, so just join us out here then, and it'll be a good time. We'll see you next
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and tune in next week.
All right, night, everybody.
Night.
My name is Mike, and I'm the founder of the Lost Limbs Foundation. The Lost Limbs Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides assistance to amputee children in need of prosthetics. I started the charity after my own struggles after my leg being amputated just above the knee. Prosthetics cost thousands of dollars, and the average lifespan is 5 to 7 years on a prosthetic. Kids are constantly growing, so they'll go through multiple prosthetics throughout their life. This is the prosthetic leg that I use, and the cost was about $70,000. The Rhodes Hotel is in Atlanta, Indiana, and is owned and operated by the Lost Limbs Foundation. We are currently doing photo shoots, ghost hunts, and special events to help raise money for the charity. For more information, you can go to lostlimbsfoundation.org. With your help, we can help these kids one step at a time.